So you finally got the attention of that Japanese girl that you've been eyeballing. Maybe you guys have been dating, and you're in the position where you want to let her know your true feelings. So how do you let her know? Don't worry, I got you. I'll show you some techniques that you can use to show that Japanese girl that you've been dating how you feel, whether it's in a DM or a text. So I got this really interesting comment in one of the videos that I posted on YouTube, and it's asked, so I shall deliver. Of course, there's a big language gap between how we communicate in Japanese and in English, but in text, it's even more difficult. So I'm going to break down how you can let that special little somebody know that you're feeling them or that your feelings have gone to the next level. Now, I'm only going to focus on text messaging or line messaging, which is the main app that we use for messaging in Japan. But these techniques can really be used in any form of written Japanese, whether it's a physical letter, whether it's an email, or a DM. So if you think about it, there's really three main patterns that you're going to use if you're trying to communicate with a Japanese girl. I'm going to break down all three and give you some tips based on experiences I've had talking to Japanese girls. So the first one is in English. For me, this is going to be the easiest way to do it, and I recommend you try to communicate in all English if it's possible, especially if your Japanese skills aren't really, that up to par. Not knocking you or anything like that, but it's just going to be easier and faster for you to say things in English than it would be in Japanese. But here's the most important thing. How you do it is going to be the most important factor. The main thing to understand is no matter what you say, no matter what you do in conversation or in written word, there's gonna be a gap between what you're intending to say and how it's received by the Japanese girl. So take out all the nuance of it and speak like you're speaking to an elementary school kid. If you remember back in the day, we really didn't have the vocabulary or the knowledge to say things in a nuanced or roundabout way. If a kid was thirsty, he just said, I want some juice. If you were hungry, you just said, I want a snack. And I would say the same thing if you're talking to a girl. Tell her, I want you. I like you. I want to be with you. Those kind of things, directly, straight, with no nuance at all. Even if it's not exactly what you want to say, it will kind of connect, and she'll be able to fill in the gaps and imagine the gist of what you're trying to say to her. The second way is going to be English and Japanese mixed. Now, how I would recommend you do this, and how I've done it in the past, is not to write a full English message and then translate it into a full Japanese message. Translation software has advanced a lot since I've been in Japan, but if you're, again, writing something with a lot of nuance to it, it's probably going to get lost in the mix, at least up to now. Maybe in a few years you'll be able to do that, but I don't recommend it for now. I do the same thing that I recommend with an all English text. Just keep it as straight and direct as possible, but add Japanese below it, and don't do really large texts. Like, I would give 1 or 2 sentences and then follow it with a Japanese translation below it, and then start a new, and then double space that, and then keep going. That will give the girl an opportunity to kind of separate the thoughts and keep track of what's going on. So even if she reads the English and doesn't understand exactly what you're trying to say, she could kind of try to figure it out based on the Japanese that's below it. Again, it really depends on your Japanese ability and also her English ability. I wouldn't just fall back on automatic translation and hope that it tells you how you feel, or expresses how you feel in such a really important conversation. But give it a try, feel it out, and see what works for you, for both you and her. This is just general advice. It really does depend on the dynamics of your relationship. Like my relationship with my wife, for example, her English is, really good. It's not perfect, but she understands my English. I understand her. We've been together for a long time. So simple things we can message back and forth in Japanese if she wants to, or in English. Like sometimes she doesn't have the time to really message me in English, but she'll message me in Japanese. And there's been a few times where we've been having, you know, really deep conversations. Sometimes we fight. We're a couple, we fight. And she wants to say how she feels, and she'll write it in deep Japanese. And, you know, even if I can't understand 100% of what she's saying, with a little bit of translation, I can kind of figure out the other parts. But she just wants to express how she feels, and I do the same thing in English. Before I get to the third way, remember to shoot me a comment if you have any other questions. I'll be happy to make a video, try my best to give you my experience, some love advice to help you out with your Japanese partner. So that brings to the third way. You can guess, first we did all English, then we did a mixture of English and Japanese. So I'm pretty sure you can guess what the last one is. Yes, all Japanese. Now, all Japanese, I would recommend even more bare bones conversation. Add absolutely no nuance to it at all, right? Don't try to go beyond the limits of your Japanese ability, because you'll end up confusing the hell out of her. So as long as you express the intentions that you have, it will get through, even if it's not exactly what you want them to get from the conversation. So in Japanese, even more, depending on your Japanese ability, you know, anata ga suki is enough. It's okay, you know. Like, your partner will work with you and will be able to understand what you're trying to say. So if that helps, I have another video that I made about relationships, so don't forget to check it out.